Welcome to the Disney Hour Express podcast. I'm Abby.
And I'm Rob. We are two hopelessly romantic Disney enthusiasts,
Sharing fun stories, secret tips, and family travel experiences.
If you are a Disney newbie, or maybe a season pass holder, we hope you find this information helpful.
We turned our love of Disney into a unique boutique travel agency that books Disney and Universal vacations.
We've got a lot of stories, so cozy on up, choose your favorite drink,
Whether that be a cocktail or a hot chocolate,
and enjoy the Disney Hour Express. Hello and welcome to episode 106 of the Disney Hour Express podcast. I'm Rob, as you just heard in our intro. That over there, yeah, that's Abby.
Hi.
And I think I'm supposed to say welcome Pioneers.
Welcome, Pioneers. We're happy to have you here.
See, she's now she's chiming in.
Well, I wanted you to do the intro this week since you picked the topic.
We started recording this 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. She says, yeah.
It feels like 3 hours.
Sometimes it does. And then you realize that your cat ate through your lights, what else are we dealing with today?
I mean,
just general
the never-ending laundry pile.
fun times. Let's talk more about those. Where you don't have to do laundry.
I know.
Not normally. Sometimes you actually
sometimes you
do.
I feel like
quite often.
I feel like most trips I've done laundry.
Yeah, I think we've done it every time. Wait, where you can do laundry, I guess is what I should say.
It's optional.
The Disney hotels.
That's right.
The resorts that is Disney, they offer many amenities. And if you're planning a trip to Disney, we're here to talk to you today about what our picks are for the top Disney resorts.
In 2025, because they might be different in other years, right? But why is that? Why would they be different?
Is it like a rhetorical question, or are you actually asking me?
I'm asking you. It's a leading question into the next section of our podcast. Because
guess what? Disney likes to do renovations and refurbishments all throughout the year. In addition that they just do upgrades, or they're adding a new tower or something, or there's always something else going on in Disney. They're not standing still just waiting for Universal to take them over.
No way.
So we did. Now, obviously, it's already March. It's March 8th today. We probably should have done this in January, maybe December of last year. But you know what? We pushed it off a little bit. We didn't think about it until just a week ago. So here we are today. There's still a lot of 2025 left. If you are considering going to the park, it's something to pay attention to. All this information can be found on the internet, but it's all over the place. Abby was grabbing it all day today. She was grabbing it from all over.
And an important thing to point out is, we do own a travel agency. And at this time, we find that over the next 2 months is when we have a lot of guests that are booking summer trips and early fall. So you're thinking September, right? That's what they're booking right now. And you need to know, well, hey, is the pool at my resort going to be open? Because that's a big deal to us. It's warm.
They have
we want to go there during the day, or
Disney resorts have pools?
Of course they do. Absolutely.
Does every Disney resort have a pool? Does every Disney resort have multiple pools?
To my knowledge,
no.
Got it. Thanks for that
pop-up. But the majority of them do.
Anyways, thank you for the intro, and we'll talk a lot about all the refurbs that are happening, and we're going to talk about the cool discounts that are coming up. But first, we need a good smell for this room, don't you think?
Well, I mean, considering that there's 2 dogs and me in here, yes, yeah. I agree.
So we've been using the India wax melt these past couple episodes from the Magic Candle Company, and it's been really, really good. But I wanted to change it up, and I'm really excited to do Flying Over Africa which is from if you were going on Soarin', you'd smell flying over Africa. It's the part where they've got the elephants, right?
Yes.
So I'm ready. What's
Yeah.
different
Yes, they
about these
do.
wax melts is they're actually like kind of slimy and slippery. As
Oh,
per I've used other wax melts that have been a little bit more less slimy, but that's okay because the smells are super epic on this.
a little more or less
A
slimy.
little more
I
or less
like it.
slimy. I think that's a good term for it. So I had to make sure I put it in my little wax melter.
Oddly enough, I could also be described the same way sometimes. A little less slimy.
Ooh, I can smell just the melt itself.
Ooh, that smell.
Oh, I'm excited. I love this smell. It reminds me of like, I mean, this is dating me for sure. Gap used to have a body spray mist that was grass. That was the smell of it. And that's what this smells
You know
like. So
what?
I
I do
really, really
remember
love
that. I remember that existing.
it.
That's fun. Well, thank you for doing that. I feel like we should have like again, we need like intros to segments and stuff. Like
Do we?
Abby's smell
Well, you know
corner,
what? We don't do it all the
the smell of
time.
scenery. Well, we should do it
But I
more.
do love, I mean, Magic Candle Company, you can't go wrong with them. They've got great smells, except for the Rome burning smell. Let's not do that one ever again.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, burn some rum. Now, before we
Yeah.
get into that, we're just a quick backup into last week, episode 105. We talked about our Oscar
Yeah,
picks,
we
right?
did. Ooh.
And then
Oh,
lo and
gosh.
behold, right? We went over it. We told you we didn't really listen to or see all the movies. We saw three of them. The one that we saw that we were kind of left us head scratching was the big winner, right?
For
It was the winner.
everything.
Honora won like all the big
And
awards.
everybody is
And
like, what? Now, okay. Mikey Madison was good in the role. Like there's no doubt about it. And she did a lot of like studying to be in this role. If you don't know, she was a sex worker in this film. And so she had to spend a lot of time
gotcha.
learning how to dance like a dancer would at a I don't know what do you call them? Like gentlemen's clubs? But everybody goes to them
Sure.
now. So I don't know.
An exotic
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's the
dancer.
word I
She's
was
an
looking
exotic
for.
dancer. Yes.
So she had to study how to do this. She was like, I didn't know how to twerk before this movie or any of that. So she put a lot of effort into learning everything about this role, including learning how to speak Russian. She did not know before this. Now, I thought
Mhm.
what was most interesting is that both of her parents are psychologists. They've seen this movie multiple times and absolutely loved it and loved how she transformed in it. I'm not sure why you're laughing, but I'm just saying there are certain details that went into the
You,
movie that were
yeah.
okay. Like I get it. It was a lot of hard work and she did really well. But as far as the movie goes, I didn't really enjoy it.
I gotta admit, when I introduced this, I did not think we would be talking about Mikey Madison's parents at one point, but that's where you went. I
That's
like it.
I don't ever go into anything part way. Let's just put it that way. Like I need to know why I have the
No,
opinion I have.
but
Thank you.
before we talk about our topic, just I'll say this with one question: is and both of our children, we have multiple times told them to not twerk. But please stop twerking. Can you twerk?
I don't know that I've tried. And we're not going to go there today.
Can I twerk?
Yes, you can twerk. I never thought we would be talking about this on our Disney podcast. Please. Okay. Next subject, please.
You brought it up. Okay. And so one place where twerking might be allowed is at your Disney resort
In
hotel.
the privacy of your own bathroom. Thank you.
Yeah. Your bathroom, only in your bathroom. Nowhere else.
Anyways, we have a lot of really amazing deals going down at Disney right now for summer. Specifically, they're looking at days between May 1st and July 31st. You can get up to 30% off on rooms at select Disney resorts, right?
That's funny.
You have to stay 5 consecutive nights or longer in this summer to get this discount. Now, that's pretty great. Now, obviously the higher tiered resorts have the larger, I believe it's the larger rates, percentage off. Is that correct? Yes. I think it goes higher to lower.
Yeah.
They have the summer room offer for Florida residents as well. That's going from also May 1st to July 31st. Now, you have to have proof of residency, which is required at check in. And as a travel agent, I get asked all the time, well, what if grandma who lives in Florida gets our room for us and then we go and we use it? Now, I generally give this advice, which is the Disney standard advice and agreement when you take a room, and then I'll let you do with it what you want. But you do need proof of Florida residency, which you need to show at check in. And not only that, but like all the adults in the room need to show proof of Florida residency at
So it's
check
not just
in.
it's not just the person booking, it's the
Yes. Now,
everyone.
does that
Okay.
happen all the time? No. Not all the time do they always check every single adult, but the requirement is, and if you get caught and you are in fact not the Florida
You'll be
resident,
banned from Disney
you
for life.
might there might be different rates, right? Because this is packages and things like
Mm,
that.
I
So to prove your Florida residency, you need a valid Florida driver's license. Sorry, or a state issued ID card, or even a Florida based military ID card. So just kind of like one of those things that you don't want to necessarily mess with Disney too much, but you might kind of fly
now
under the radar.
can you do this
So you
online?
can now, which is really
Mhm.
nice. You can pre-check everyone in and get that, so you
But
don't
you
have
would
to
have to
stop at guest
be
relations when you get there. Mhm.
it's if you're all Disney
If you're
or if you're
Florida resident, yeah.
Florida
Mhm.
resident. Otherwise, you could try to bypass the situation
That's true.
by taking your
I don't
chances, but you
know.
never
Yeah, so I
know. I
don't
mean,
outrightly recommend this, but I know people have
yeah.
just done it, and I don't know.
I mean, I could say like we obviously when we go, one of us the rooms are usually under your name, but like they never check my ID, right? You
They
know what I
don't,
mean?
but,
It's
to think about all the things that we're attached to, right? Our My Disney experiences are all attached together, our
mm,
magic bands are attached together. It's not really like a
mm,
secret, of, like, who's in there,
mm.
and now that they're thinking about doing, like, things like face recognition,
Interesting.
I don't know that
They're
there
gonna
is
get
gonna be a cheater way in the
they're gonna
future.
get you. Now, what if I am a Florida resident? I mean, I don't have to be a Florida resident. What if I'm an annual pass
Cool.
holder?
So you're looking at a really nice 40% off resort discount from June 1st, July 31st. But then there are other savings that are available in the month of May, which is really great too. So 40% off. Are you kidding me? That's amazing for the
Yeah.
resorts. Like, holy
Hmm.
cannoli. Love it. So
Holy
there
cow.
are a lot of discounts, but of course, discounts are limited availability. So they do run out. That's why we always say you got to make those reservations, got to get it done early.
Don't wait.
Do not wait. With that
Okay.
being said, let's jump into what's going on around the resorts because there's a lot. Yeah.
All right. I think we're gonna start off with the value
Oh,
resorts.
really? Okay, we can do that. Let me scroll down to the end of my list. Okay. All
Well,
right.
you know, get
So when we're talking about value resorts, why would they call them value, right? They're a little bit nicer to our pocketbook,
mm,
right? They're a little bit on the
mm.
cheaper end, but it also means you're not going to get the
I think
amenities.
we like to call that less expensive.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. You're not going
Yes.
to get some of the amenities you would think. So, like, there's not going to be um, table service at these resorts, and
Mhm.
the resorts in
Yeah, not table service
yes.
restaurant.
A
Yes.
and, unless you're staying in the family
Perfect.
suites, most of these resorts have the door that faces the outside, right? You're not
Mhm.
gonna be on an interior door, you're gonna be on a door that faces to the outside. So,
Gotcha.
okay.
It kind of gives you a Motel 6 vibe a little bit.
Yes. a little bit classier than that, but yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Red Roof
right.
Inn.
We're going to start with the value resorts, the All-Star Movies Resort. The
Yeah.
Fantasia Pool is going under refurbishment until next month, April of 2025. Now, this
Mhm.
being said, all the information I'm going to give you about refurbishments happening, they have a tendency to change that date. So April 2025 is usually going to be like the earliest that it will open, but they might extend that
Mhm.
date. So you want to keep checking back. So if you're
Yes.
planning on going after April, just double check, just know.
It's kind of like if anything that we say, if you're like, don't say, oh, well, it's April, I'll be safe in May.
You
You
don't
don't
know.
know. You
Yeah.
don't know. So if you like, you were looking to book a last minute trip or a trip later based off of one of the dates, it's kind of like you got to, I would give yourself either just kind of, maybe rule that one out or give yourself a few more months afterwards for if any of these accommodations or something that you're waiting for or the reason why.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we've got the other all-star resorts, which is All-Star Music
Yeah.
and All-Star Sports. They don't seem to have
Mhm.
any refurbishments on the calendar right now. So those are
Mhm.
good to go at the moment.
Now, I think All Star was it
Mhm.
sports was just they were just refurbished.
Sweets, right?
Their suites were refurbished. But then who had the somebody had
Excuse
bless
me.
you. Somebody had a um their one of their dining halls.
That was
But
okay, so
doesn't matter.
that's Pop. Okay. So,
Oh, that
yeah,
was Pop?
over at
Okay.
Pop, but unless you wanna Google it real quick, just make sure my info is right because I
No.
don't know. I was looking at
So
what's
either
happening
way,
now
it
and in the
it had that
future.
done. It's all reopened now, so it's a kind of a
Good to
moot
go.
point.
But seeing that, like, when the dining
Mhm.
hall is being refurbished, that is a
Yeah.
big problem, especially at these value resorts, because it means that, where are you gonna get your food? Are you only gonna get it from the fridges, so you can't even have a
Mhm.
tray to sit down there? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so that can be a problem. So over at Pop from late March to 2025 to mid-February 2026, they're
Mhm.
having rooms that are undergoing refurbishment right now. The
Okay.
construction is going to obviously happen during the day while they expect most people to be at the parks, but it can get in
Mhm.
the way, right? And it can lessen how many rooms there are open. So you want to just watch out for that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for the value resorts. We haven't got a lot of construction happening, just a little. Um,
Just the pop.
what's that?
Yeah, just the
Just the
pop.
pop and, well, the All Star Movies pool, which is going to
Mhm.
end soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Relatively soon. So, do we wanna wait or do everything at the end or go over
Well,
everything?
do you want to share which resort you would prefer to stay at in the value resorts throughout
Yes.
2025?
So, the value resorts, if I was gonna stay at one now we have I'll say this, we've stayed at Pop
Mhm.
and we stayed at Art of
But we
Animation.
stayed in the suites at Art of Animation.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, I feel like
Yes.
that's different. I wouldn't even consider that a value because those suites are pretty stinking expensive.
They are.
And
But
yeah,
it's also because it's a suite in itself where you can't get those much
no,
even
with
at a
2
moderate.
bathrooms, no,
Yeah. Like especially the 2 bathrooms is kind
it's
of
a
a big
huge
deal.
deal.
So I think being that now it's also like it's kind of due for an update, but I still think I would stay at Art of Animation.
Okay, but a suite, just to be specific.
I mean, either way, even sweet or not, sweet definitely
Okay.
like I would want a suite just because you don't understand how important, how awesome
Yeah.
it is to have 2 bathrooms.
Yeah,
Um, and then have the separate room on top of that, right?
sure.
So it's just you guys get a little bit of separation because you're together all the time, and it just gives everyone like a little bit more
Right.
space to recover. And then there's 2 bathrooms. But being that Art of Animation has it's on the
Mhm.
Skyliner, which is huge. Pop's also on the Skyliner, and I would say maybe that's a contender, maybe after the construction, but not during the construction. Wouldn't want to say
Gotcha.
that. But it's also huge.
It is.
It's a big one. The other all star resorts, they're
Mhm.
good. but I think all being equal, they're not on the
Right.
Skyliner, and so I think that makes the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely where my mind
Mm,
was too when making this
okay.
decision. Now, I was trying to think more for the cost conscious traveler, and
Mhm.
the suites are not it. So I didn't even consider the suites at Art of Animation.
Okay.
I was looking at the Art of Animation Little Mermaid room, which I've definitely stayed in. Now, listen, when I stayed in this room, I was so pregnant and with my toddler and walking an extra 15 minutes from the lobby. So 15 minutes, you're thinking that's like a mile pretty much to
Mhm.
get to my room, which felt like it was on the end of earth, which
Yeah.
it was.
Mhm.
And the room was cute, oh so cute, like had some cute
Mhm.
decorations that I really, really liked. Um, but it was also, like, missing things. So, for example, like, when you're in like, think pop, like, they do have, like, the sliding door that closes to the sink area, right? And
Mhm.
then the bathroom, they have a door. Um, in the Art of Animation Little Mermaid suites, they just
Yeah.
have a curtain to close off the
Ah,
sink
okay.
area and
Gotcha.
then a
All right.
bathroom door. So to me, because like the fan would go on a lot throughout the night in the bathroom, the fan goes on when you
Oh,
walk in. It's like a light
yeah.
fan.
Yes, it's a
Um
sensory. Yeah.
and so it just that there was only the curtain there and that I was there
Yeah.
with my
Okay.
kiddo that I wanted to sleep through the
Mhm.
night. I was like, not and being pregnant that you have to pee all the time, I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, this is not, like,
I
ideal,
that
the
I
sound
understand.
barrier."
Okay.
So the distance and just the room setup, it wasn't and it still got the carpet. It has not been
Mm.
redone since 2012 when this resort opened. I think I would pass on it. I understand that Pop is going through some construction and it's gonna be tough, um, but I still feel like that would be my go-to as long as the building 50s and 70s buildings were not the
Yeah.
ones going under construction because those are the ones that I would request. They're the closest to the skyline, and I would
Mhm.
wanna be there, right there, easy peasy.
Okay.
These are the redone rooms with the
Mhm.
carpet is not there. They make it a little bit bigger, a
Okay.
little bit more space. So that's kind of where I was at. I was thinking pop would be my go-to. That
Yeah.
being said, I just want to add this in that Disney's Pop Century Resort is 177 acres. It is not the biggest resort,
But
but it has the most rooms. It has the most rooms out of all the resorts. It's got 2,880 rooms, and
mhm.
you could have 2,880 families staying at Pop Century all at once. That's insane to think about, and so you gotta
And
carry that in.
there's
There's
one
one
dining
dining
resort,
resort. Yeah.
and there's one more importantly, there's one pool bar.
Yep. So, I mean, this is really to me, it doesn't feel like vacation staying somewhere
Yeah.
like
But
this.
it definitely feels like it was definitely the most lively of the
Yes.
resorts that we've
Yep.
stayed at.
Absolutely. There was a
And
lot happening.
there was a lot going on. There was movies till like 10 a.m. At the
Mhm.
pool. There was, it was just there was a lot going
Yeah.
on. And that's why
10
there's
PM.
a lot of people there. So they have to
Yeah.
entertain.
So they're always going. That's so true.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make that note there that yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Anyways, so you'd pick Art of Animation, I would pick Pop, both for Skyliner
Yep.
reasons, which I think tells you that our
Yep.
idea is that we don't want to spend all of our time in the rooms, right? Really, I feel like the most time we spend in the rooms is on the last day because we're packing and you always bring the kids to the arcade and like that's probably the most time we spend.
I know. We're not I think at some point maybe we'll slow down and have a day where it's more we're just kind of in the room and in the pool and stuff and doing those type. But just when we're at Disney, we're there kind of
Yeah.
park. So and again, mind you, this is all everything we say is like this is for what we would pick for us and our
Mhm.
family. It might be totally different for you and your family. You
Absolutely.
know what you guys what your targets are, what you like. that's why, you could always contact Abby or myself,
Yeah,
and she'll put you through to one of the travel
that's right.
specialists, and they'll work with you on picking out what's best for your group.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. All right. So let's move on to what's happening at the moderate resorts right now. A lot of things. So, Caribbean Beach from February 17th to April 30th, the lobby is going to undergo refurbishment. This says all amenities should still be available during this time, but the lobby, I guess it could be a little bit hard if you need to talk to somebody, but they try to make it the best. Caribbean Beach is absolutely one of the biggest resorts. It's 200 acres, but it doesn't have as many rooms. It's 1,536 rooms, which is strange to me because looking at Caribbean Beach, when I look at that, I'm like, wow, that is like a complex. And maybe it's because it's right on the Skyliner and I feel like you can really see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways,
And it's like one of the main, it's like a main stop
yes,
because it's like
it's
a
a hub.
hub.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Coronado Springs, good to go. They did a lot of construction recently, right? Over at Coronado Springs, so it's all good.
Uh,
Now, Disney Port Orleans Riverside, starting in April 2025 to the end of January in 2026, guest rooms in the Magnolia Bend will undergo refurbishment. So
mhm.
guests are going to see and hear construction. That also means there's going to be some rooms that are not going to be available there. Now, I don't know if you guys have looked up the beautiful new rooms that they have going on, but they are, I really do love their updates. They are very fancy. So I'm
Okay.
into it. Now, Disney Port Orleans French Quarter, May 2024 to spring 2025. They're still undergoing some of their refurbishments there. They close off the entire buildings to redo the buildings there, the rooms and the
Okay.
refurbishments. So, kind of the same thing. When
Mhm.
we were recently at Disney Port Orleans, we definitely made the comments that there needed to be some updates here. I don't believe there were any USB ports. Some of the sinks and stuff were not
Yeah.
functioning properly any longer. The handles
You
would
heard like
like,
a whistling as you turned the
yeah.
shower on. It was like there was a whistling coming through the
And it
pipes,
was
and
looking
it was
like,
like,
it was really, to me, it was looking very old New Orleanian
yeah,
style, which I was kind of like, oh, but to somebody who is not used to that, it's not an acceptable thing to
yes.
want to go to and vacation at, right? So, yeah, it definitely needed some updates. So, I'm happy to hear and happy to see the pictures of these. So, what was your pick for a 2025 moderate resort go to?
I am, and now the one that we and I don't want to be like Mr. Technical, but there's actually another
Oh,
moderate
please
resort.
do tell me.
So it's the Fort Wilderness Cabins, or actually fall into the moderate resort category.
Really? Really? I thought they were
Hmm.
like DVC, but
They
they
fall
still
they're
fall into the
they fall
moderate.
under moderate. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So, what's going on there
Isn't that
with
interesting?
those Fort Wilderness
Nothing.
cabins?
I mean,
They're
they've
just
been,
redone, right?
yeah, they've been
Yeah.
redone. Yeah, so they're
So
nice.
they're good to go.
They're Yeah, they're good to
Now,
go.
remind
So
me the setup of those Fort Wilderness cabins, can you? Is it
no.
Oh, okay. I am because I'm still thinking of the old Fort
Yeah.
Wilderness cabins, but
Yeah.
they are beautiful. They house a lot of people. You get your own full kitchen, a little dining table,
Yeah. You have
space.
space, and I feel like that's something where you need, if you're going just for the parks, it's not like, but unless you're like an oversized family, or you're having a lot of people because they have a lot of room, and it's in your own space, it's separated, and it's not like you're not staying at a villa, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I mean, those are good options for
Yeah.
you, but it really is something that there's a lot of activities in the cabins, right? They have like parades and stuff that
Oh, it's
kind
so
of,
cool. Like for Mardi Gras, they have little
yeah,
Mardi Gras golf
yeah,
cart parades and things
parades
like that.
and stuff,
And
and
it's
that's what they offer,
right.
golf carts, and they offer
Yeah.
grilling, and they like it's more of like a traditional
Yeah.
vacation as opposed to a Disney
Which
vacation.
I've always wanted to try, like just staying out there and doing a lot of these activities. But again, with the limited amount of time and how many parks you have to go
Yeah.
to, I think it would need to be like something we really planned on, like this day is a resort activity day, while this day
Mhm.
is a park,
Yeah.
then the next day is a resort activity. Like really like not leaving Disney property. Like forget about Disney
Mhm.
Springs. Like we wouldn't even get there if we were staying at a resort that had all
Yeah.
these things.
So with that being
Mhm.
said, my picks now, I'd like to. There's an asterisk next to my picks, and I'm just going to tell you right now that I'm immediately throwing out the anything that has to do with New Orleans. Just I've I haven't stayed at French Quarter. I've stayed at Riverside twice. I think I got to see more about what
The
the
updates.
updates are,
Okay.
and with any construction going on, it kind of just makes me not want to stay at either one of those. I do. The Riverside has a pretty cool pool area. That's kind of right outside the like the lobby and the dining hall,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty cool. It has like things that are anyway. It has a lot of like different activities for the kids to do in that pool, but just for me, the rooms needed to be pretty technologically up. Like the technology needed to be
Mhm.
updated. On top of the fact that I think that might have been the one where because Abby usually ends up getting the side of the bed that doesn't have a table.
Every single time.
And so I think we just turned a
We
trash
did.
can over and that's what she was putting her phone on.
Disgusting.
So it was, that's like the little things, right? It's the does it have USB
Mhm.
plugs and is there
And
a,
those were
a
like
bedside
in
table?
the Tiana suites. It was like,
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah.
even think they're touching those to
Mm.
my
'Cause
knowledge.
and yeah, and those are nice, but it
Yeah.
needs to be updated. So, that being said, I would pick if I was if it was just me and
Mhm.
you, or if it was older kids, I would pick Coronado Springs.
Gotcha. And I get that. It's nice and clean, new, but it is
Mhm.
far out there. So
Yeah.
mhm.
It's definitely further out, but it also makes it a little quieter.
Mhm.
It has a
Yeah.
Michelin rated restaurant on the top of it that no one like ever goes
Right.
to. It has a lounge that has like gorgeous these most gorgeous views because it's like surrounded by lakes, just all water
Yeah.
around it, and you could oversee everything. You could see
Yep.
fireworks. You could see, and it just like it has like so many different lounges in the actual the Grand Destino
Yes.
Towers. Like it's just like lounges and bars, like it's meant for like adults just like kind of like go and hang out, and that's why they also have a convention center in
Yeah.
there because it's really meant for adults.
And I get it, but yeah, I was thinking of more of like your family, typical family that we have now.
Mm,
Yes, I think that that's beautiful, and I think it was made more with the adult in mind for
mm,
sure. But again, I understand there's construction going on, and I'm aware of that, but I would actually pick the Caribbean beach. I It's got some of the rooms have a 5th sleeper, which I think is pretty
mhm,
great. I know the lobby is being refurbished, but I'm not too concerned about it because it didn't have any effect on the dining hall
mm.
or anything. So,
And now those fifth sleepers are some of them are
Little
Little
Mermaid,
Mermaid
which is really
rooms.
great
Yeah.
considering that the other Little Mermaid rooms over at Art of Animation are getting pretty old, right? So these are kind of
Mhm,
the new
right.
refurbishments. Um, Now we again, like, these resorts have the doors going to the outside world. It's no interior doors at
Yeah.
these. So we did get to view some of these rooms. I wasn't, like, too blown away, but, of course, I feel like the location can't be beat. I don't wanna touch the, Port Orleans resorts right now. I think once
Mhm.
they're all done, we'll go back there and love it again. I mean, I liked the layout of all of Port Orleans. It's you can't
Yeah.
beat that. But now in 2025, my choice would actually be Caribbean Beach, which says something
And
considering
and
I'm
they
not
I
a
mean, and
huge Caribbean Beach fan.
and they have a nice
Mhm.
pool, and it's a
Mhm.
Skyliner, and it is a
Now,
big
it's
deal.
a huge property. This is another one that you have to
Yeah.
be really specific and say, "I want a preferred Skyliner room or a room
Mhm.
near the Skyliner." You gotta be very
But if
specific
you
about that.
want one of those Little Mermaid rooms,
Yes.
the sleeper, they're far away to the from the Skyliner and the hotel
Yeah.
lobby and the
Yep.
pool, like, and to the point where
They're
they
like
actually have a
right.
shuttle.
Mhm.
They have a shuttle that runs you to your room from the
Yeah.
lobby. You can walk, but you're like crossing like through a parking lot. Um, so we were on a bus and we had to take the bus from like the pool lobby area to the fifth sleeper room
Nope.
to go check the Little Mermaid.
So you gotta be
So
aware of where you're staying. Just make
yeah,
sure you know your stuff, right?
and it was kind of, and just to also say, it also had that um because it had like the air conditioner in the out exterior wall. They're not like central air, central
Yeah.
AC units, so it had that like vibe.
It had
You're
the
turning on
smell
the
kind of that like,
yeah,
okay, this
you're
is like
turning on the
old
thing and
school.
you're hearing an air conditioner
But that's
run.
also what made it to me feel like it was like the Caribbean a little bit.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That is
So
fair.
I don't know. But that would just be my pick this year. I don't think I would
Okay,
necessarily choose it another year.
but if me and you were going
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. Again, I was thinking for the family. Now for this
family
for this
schmamily
next section, I actually put the deluxe villas and resorts together.
together. Okay,
So I don't know if you want to make your comments about
no, I mean, it's just the villas are kind of, that's just like a different like it's like a different ball games sort
it
of.
is
Um,
space wise and like you can
mm,
get different yeah, it's really about space, I would say.
yeah.
Um, but okay. So we'll start with the Riviera Resort. This one's good
Mhm,
to go. There's no construction currently scheduled for the Riviera in 2025.
yeah.
Same with all of Animal Kingdom. We've got the Animal Kingdom Villas Kidani Village, Animal Kingdom Villas Jambo House, and Animal Kingdom Lodge. All of these are good to go. Now, it was so confusing when we stayed at Animal Kingdom because we
Mhm,
didn't really understand the difference between Kidani and Jambo and Lodge. And now we know that Jambo is essentially a
mo-
part of Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's just
mhm.
dependent on where you're staying, right? The lodge is
And
considered like kind of the big area that's directly attached to the lobby. And then I believe that Jamba House like expands. Am I right in saying that? Because
well,
Kidani Village
Jumbo,
is like a whole
mhm,
different
yeah, a whole different
building.
building. Yeah, so we had to walk
Mhm.
back and
Yeah,
forth
through a parking
too.
lot. And
But I thought it was that Jumbo was more DVC.
that's
No,
Kidani. It could be maybe
oh,
Jumbo is considered more DVC, but they list
oh.
them all separately. And so I thought Animal Kingdom
Hmm.
Lodge was also a separate building. So maybe we should like
I
look
didn't.
into that a little bit more because when it's
Hmm.
all said and done, you're gonna end up somewhere really spectacular if you're staying at any of the animal kingdoms, and they're
Yeah,
all right within each other, like
yeah.
within a walking distance of each other, and looking at kind of
Uh,
similar animals. They're not all the same animals in the
yes,
savannah, but they're similar.
I kind of liked
Mhm.
Kadani.
Yes, me too.
I was kind of happy with staying there. We stayed there twice, once on an agent trip and once with our
We we
family.
did not stay in Kidani ever.
We were at, oh, that was just the
Yeah.
lodge. See, now even I'm
Yeah.
confused now. That wasn't
Mm-mm.
Kadani. It wasn't actually Kadani. It was just the lodge.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah. Sorry to bust your bubble. Now,
okay.
Kidani has an amazing kids splash pad area, and we spent a lot of time at the Kidani pool.
Hmm.
He's gonna try to
I
prove me
don't know
wrong
about
here,
that.
but that's okay.
You keep going.
Okay.
You keep
So,
going.
oh yeah, he's going to do his research and try to prove me wrong. Welcome to Marriage 101. Okay. Anyways, Bay Lake Tower over at Disney's Contemporary is undergoing construction and refurbishments. So through summer 2025, so that's excuse me, that's a really long time. This will affect the Bay Lake Tower and Convention Center. The Skyway Bridge may have intermittent closures, and you'll need to have an alternate, like find the alternative walking paths because of the construction. There's also construction that's going on starting in January 2026 to early May 2026 at the Bay Cove Pool and Water Play area. The whirlpool space will be temporarily closed for maintenance. And during this time, the Contemporary Resort regular pool will be open. But that's kind of a big deal when you're looking at pools. It's always a big part of our stay. So we wanted to make sure to let you know that. Now, I think you said the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness, you said that they were considered a
They're considered a
moderate.
moderate.
So
I'm just gonna say I read something. It doesn't make any sense to me still. I don't remember Animal Kingdom. It's confusing.
maybe you could find an Animal Kingdom map. Anywho,
Either way,
old
this description was just like it made it even more confusing. So let's move on.
Old Key West Resort is good to go. The Polynesian villas and bungalows construction refurbishments are going on through 2026. I'm sure if you've ever taken the monorail or anything, you've seen them happening. Now, the new DVC area has recently opened. The bar area, water pool, right, has recently opened. But there is interior and exterior construction still happening
Mhm.
in preparation for more villas and bungalows to be done. Now, they say that construction will not happen before 9 a.m. and they try to keep it going on throughout the day when most likely you'll be at the park. But I always feel a little bit like this is a big traffic area over at Polynesian, right? I never
Yeah,
feel alone at this resort. So it's
that's true.
probably one of the ones that I wouldn't necessarily choose. It's beautiful. It has a lot of great amenities. It's got some perfect restaurants. Love Trader
Mhm.
Sam's, but I don't know that I'd necessarily want to like stumble up from Trader Sam's to my resort room. I don't know. I just want to go somewhere else.
Interesting.
Boulder Ridge Villas and Disney's Wilderness Lodge are good to go. No construction happening there. Boardwalk Villas, good to go. No construction. Copper Creek Villas and cabins at Disney's. Well, I already said cabins at Disney. Look at me. I keep repeating myself. Those are good to go. No construction. The Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Does the construction ever end?
It doesn't seem
I
like it.
mean, it's been 2 years since we've been
Yeah,
to the Grand
yeah.
Floridian um, for
Well,
a
we also went.
tour, right?
We went, but we also went last year for
Park Fair.
1900 Park Fair.
And
Yeah.
it is just never ending. It's the scaffolding and everything. And like, I love
Mm.
that, like, people try to report that, like, oh, scaffolding came down. And then the next day it goes up somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
But it seems like the right. It's mostly the main building that is done.
yeah.
Like they redid the
Uh huh.
lobby because we were there and like the lobby was closed off.
Yes.
Like the main part of the lobby, which is the big part of it was closed, but now that's open. I think it's more like the
The
buildings that are
exterior
exterior.
had a
Yeah.
lot of work done. There's no date on when this construction's going to be done. Like most
Yeah.
other,
Yeah.
resorts have like
Mm.
a date.
Yeah.
But this one does not. So, all right. Saratoga Springs, good to go. No, nothing's happening there. The
Mm.
Beach and Yacht Club Villas. This has been a big deal to a lot of our clients because starting January 2025, some of the hotel amenities will be unavailable due to construction. Now, it's
Well,
the
the big thing is,
pool, the
yeah,
Stormalong Bay and Shipwreck Pool is going to be closed until June of 2025. Now, yikes.
that's
It's such
big
a good
because
pool. It's got
yeah,
the
it's
lazy river right over there,
yeah, it has a lazy
the
river. It has
sand
the
bottom pool.
sand bottom pool. It has the largest water slide of the Disney resorts. It's 230 feet high.
Wow. That's awesome. But you can't use it. And that being
I mean,
said,
it's like a mini water park,
that
basically.
being said,
Yeah.
they give this date in June, and you have to remember that sometimes it can go longer. So,
Yeah.
like,
So,
what if that was your go-to, right, for, like, July and
mhm,
August? Like,
yeah.
you're really gambling there. So,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Now, the beach and yacht clubs are across a big
Mhm.
lake from the boardwalk, and
Yes.
those are right next to
Yes.
Epcot,
Great distance.
and they're
Yes.
yeah, yes, and they're very like well, it's just there's all types of construction going
Yeah.
on there, and then but the boardwalk itself is like they're just having they're redoing the
Mhm.
merchandise like areas, the shops are being
Yes.
redone like along the
Mhm.
boardwalk. So the rooms themselves aren't there's no construction happening there, but there is for the boardwalk. There is actually summer construction.
Yep. Yep.
There's a lot of construction going
Lots
on.
of lots.
So I don't know.
So, what was your top pick for a deluxe resort in
I
2025?
got to say this was a tough
Yeah.
one. This was a tough one this year, and it has a lot to do. If I'm trying to avoid
Mhm.
construction, there's the obviously of the deluxe resorts, right? Everyone hears deluxe resorts, and you immediately like your mind only goes to
Mhm.
three because those are the three that are on the
Yeah.
monorail, right? And so that's the Grand
Yes.
Floridian, the Contemporary, and
Yes.
the Polynesian. They're all have
I
construction going
know.
on all at the same
Really
time.
bad.
Now, my I like the Polynesian. I would like us to
Yeah.
stay there at some point.
I don't not like the
Yeah.
Polynesian.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, tell our Stitch loving daughter that you don't want to stay at the Polynesian. I'm
It's
telling her.
just,
I'm telling
the
her.
rooms are, I feel like, older, and so
Okay.
there's
Okay.
not a lot of space. It's so
Hmm.
interesting to think about that and how our evolution of travel and our expectations,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Like,
We want a little
we
more space
all
and yeah.
used to cram in a room, and that was
Hmm.
okay, and now I think we value space more.
Right. Leave me alone. I want to look at my device.
Oh.
When we ought to gather together and look at it, watch a TV. Now we're all separate and with headphones on and watching our devices,
Sad, but true.
TikToking and tweetering and all that good stuff,
Alright,
right?
so but what was your pick?
It's still it's a tough one. It is a tough one. So right, so those are all being worked on. I'd like to stay at the beach and yacht
I
club,
know,
but
there's no
without
way with
the
the pool.
pool,
No way.
without the pool, I want to stay at that pool. Um, the boardwalk had its stuff, but it was lacking food. We didn't like. We stayed at
Yeah.
that just this past summer, and we didn't like it because of the lack of food options.
Yeah.
That was our big
No. Mm-mm.
deal for the kids. It was tough, and it was expensive pizzas that we had to eat. I am. With that being said, I mean, it's I'm kind of torn. And I would say that we stayed at Animal Kingdom, whichever house we actually stayed at. I still can't tell you right now because I'm very confused. But I definitely like that was a very, the amenities
Yeah. Oh,
there.
yeah.
We're just, it has a great buffet restaurant,
Boma.
right? The
Mhm.
Boma for
Yeah.
breakfast.
It was so good.
It has, yeah. I mean, just a great meal. We've eaten there twice now, and both meals were very good. It has the what's the other restaurant in the other building
Uh,
that we went and had
I'm
dinner.
drawing a blank, but it had, like, the
I'm drawing a
great
blank, but that's
naan and
another. It's like
everything. It was really,
it's
really
like an
good.
African
Yes.
authentic like African. It has the bread
Yes.
service, and it has and that's very good. And like I
Sauna.
said, it has the sauna or sana.
Sama.
It has the two pools, like I said, separate. The other one where we didn't stay, I still can't tell you if it's Jamba House or Gadani Village, or the lodge, or whatever, wherever Sanaa is in that building. It has a pool, and it's a better pool, but it was just a distance from where we were staying.
Right.
But what I'm still thinking of, and what I keep hearing, and as I also like transportation, I gotta think like Riviera Resort
Mhm.
is, it's right on Riviera Resort is on the Skyliner. It has a great
Mhm.
restaurant on the top
Topolino's.
of
Yep.
Topolino's. It also has what I hear is like one of the most underrated pool bars
Yeah.
in all of Disney, and they say it's like a great like because it's almost set up like a restaurant more than just like a
Mhm.
regular pool bar. I think I would go with being with all the construction. I think I would probably go with
Riviera.
Riviera. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Now listen, I just looked up Sanaa is in Kidani Village.
Okay. So we
We did
didn't
not
stay
stay at
there.
Kidani Village. I am right. I was
So
right.
we stayed at the
I was right.
lodge
Yes.
because we didn't stay at
We
Jumbo
stayed at the
House.
lodge. Now, this is the lodge. Is
Mhm.
Disney Animal Kingdom
I already looked.
Lodge
Doesn't make
the
sense.
same as Jumbo House? And I'm pretty sure it is. Before I
It says Jumbo House is the main original building.
huh.
Kidani is comprised of all Disney Vacation Club villas.
So where
I didn't think we stayed at
so just
Jumbo.
at the lodge. But why
I
is
don't
it like
know. See,
when
this is what I'm talking about. Remember when we checked in? We didn't know. We were like, we don't
see
know if
it
we're supposed
says
to be here or not.
Flavors of Africa, Boma, is
Mm-hmm.
located at Disney's Animal Kingdom Jumbo House, specifically on the first floor, one level below the lobby. I think it's the same thing.
And
Listen,
I couldn't be Disney.
when we reserve
Somebody
your
let us
trip,
know.
like we're very specific about this, so don't worry. But it is kind of like a funny thing that like we think that it's all they have all these different names when you book it. I remember our first trip there. I was kind of like we went on like a special rate, so you didn't necessarily get to pick your room,
Yeah.
and so I kept asking like, "Well, it said Jumbo House on our reservation, but where do you
Mm.
get dropped off?" Right? Or
Or I
maybe
don't
it
even
said
think it
Animal
said
Kingdom
it.
Lodge, and we got
It just said the
dropped off
lodge, and
at
then
Jabba House. So you have to kind of like just feel it out. You're most
yeah,
likely not staying at Kidani Village.
it's
You're gonna
confusing.
be
They need to
dropped off at
Disney.
that
You need
first
to
stop.
fix
Yeah.
this. It doesn't make any sense.
So my pick was actually for a deluxe resort was Animal Kingdom Kidani because I
Oh,
and it's important and you must get a
uh,
Savannah View room because the ambiance of it and the experience, like, you have this busy park day, there's a lot of people sitting out on that balcony and feeling that experience of, like, I am here, I
okay.
am looking at this zebra on the or this
Mhm,
giraffe, and it's, like, magical,
mhm.
or I'm watching a rainstorm happen, and the animals are enjoying it.
Yeah.
There is something so zen and beautiful about that, and I felt like Kidani was actually a bit quieter than the Animal Kingdom
Okay.
Lodge. I just remember in
Yeah.
the lodge, we heard, like, every passenger walk by our room. I say passenger, but every guest. There was a lot of guests, there was a lot of noise outside of our door.
Mhm.
Kidani was a little bit quieter, and I liked their pool actually better than the
Yes.
Animal Kingdom Lodge pool because that pool over at Animal Kingdom Lodge is very
Mhm.
big, but there is not enough seating and there is not enough
Mhm.
shade. It was very
Yeah.
different over at Kidani Lodge. You found all those things. You found seating, shade. You were able to get things at the
Yep.
bar a little bit quicker. And
Mhm.
the cool splash pad was like for the kids was really cool.
Yeah.
So
I
I
agree.
haven't had one client that's ever been disappointed with Animal Kingdom.
Now, mind you, have you ever had a client that stayed on the first floor of the
I
Jumbo
haven't.
House?
I always tell them they need to do Savannah view rooms or at least partial view, um, because we enjoyed so much waking up to
For those of
flamingos
us
and seeing people.
for those of us that didn't listen to our AEP trip, right? When we went on, we took our agent trip, and Abby and I stayed, and that's where they put us was in Animal Kingdom, in I guess Jumbo House. Um, they put us in a room. It was on the first
Yeah,
floor. It was the bottom
yeah.
floor, and it was all the way at the end of the hallway, which is good because then you don't have people passing your room and that you're going to hear them, which is what we experienced when we stayed there with our family. We were like, great. We get in there, we open, we go, let's look at what the patio looks like. We open it up, and the only thing we could see is
Flamingos and butts.
it was Pete. We were right across from
Uh, hot tub.
the hot tub.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just had to see people in the hot tub until whatever 10 o'clock when it was turned off, and so we couldn't even use our patio
Yeah.
because of it because it was just
And I
weird.
got like a really bad insect bite or some sort of bite
Oh yeah,
when I
yeah,
was sitting out on our patio, which is something, I mean, if you're technically
yeah,
in like the whole environment with animals in
yeah.
Africa, like, I mean, something's going to happen. So,
Cool.
you know,
All
yeah.
right.
So that's kind of our roundup for everything.
Yeah.
I love it.
Of where we're gonna stay. Yeah, that's so those are some interesting, maybe some I think we're coming in hot. Those are some hot takes we got there
Absolutely.
on our resorts.
I'm currently like stalking maps of Animal Kingdom. It's so interesting because it says Jumbo House Lobby, which is like
Mhm.
where we went in. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Jumbo House and the Lodge are the same thing.
It's very confusing, but I mean it's gorgeous though. It's a gorgeous
Yeah.
lobby.
I loved it. It was beautiful. Anyways,
Mm.
I did ask our
I even fell
10-year-old
asleep out
what
there.
her top picks for resorts in 2025 were, and she actually agreed with both of us. She said Animal Kingdom if you're going just with a friend and like having a fun friends
Uh-huh.
weekend, or if you're going with your
Oh.
family, she wanted Art of Animation Suite. So, yeah.
Oh.
She hasn't stayed in any moderate or in any of the in between resorts. She's
The-
only done it
yeah.
big or done it small.
Not Pop's
Nope.
Entry, where she had to
A
share
bed
a
with
bed with her
Sissy.
sister.
No. No,
Yeah,
thank you.
that is interesting. Um, all right. Well, thanks for doing all that research and giving us all that, helping us make the
You
picks,
got it.
helping them make the picks. Now we're gonna take a look around the park. There is kind of a lot going on. There was a there's a it's the entertainment festival at this point, right? It was originally a musical festival called South by
Mhm.
Southwest in Austin, Texas. That is like huge now.
Yeah.
Used to just be music. Now it's movies. Now it's
Yeah.
everything. And I could say that because they had an actual a Disney talk,
Yeah.
right? That was it featured it was Disney Parks chairman Josh Damaro and co-chairman Alan Bergman gave a talk today, which is kind of breaking news, even though you could find it all over the Disney net. Um, and they kind of just updated on what's I forget what the actual name of it was, but it was something to do with like the parks of tomorrow or imagine, it was something really um, uh, innovative or interesting. I don't know what we're saying. Abby's still looking at the
No,
Animal
no.
Kingdom
I
stuff.
was closing out all my other programs because my computer's struggling to record. It told me.
Oh, isn't it fun? The um so yeah, so one of the announcements that they had was that over in 20, if we're looking forward, we're pushing ahead a year, 2026, there's the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out.
Yeah.
They had John Favreau, who's the creator, I guess I don't call him the creator, but he was like the main showrunner, director of Mandalorian. So he's directing a movie, a Mandalorian Grogu movie. So he came out and they announced that on May 22nd, 2026, they're going to be adding the Mandalorian and Grogu um, uh, overlay to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride. So instead of just, if anyone that's been on there, right, they have this whole thing where you're flying the Millennium Falcon and you're trying to steal
Yeah.
coaxium to bring it back and sell or something. I've been on it like a dozen times and I can barely remember at this point. But I've also been on it a dozen times and it's the same thing over and over again. Still very fun, but I'd like to see a new story.
Yeah. I think I'm ready for a new story too.
Yeah, and so now that they have the Mandalorian and Grogu movie on, when that comes out, you're also going to be able to ride along with that. So you're not going to see, it's not going to be actual part of the movie, but it's going to be something that's happening just off the screen from what you're seeing. But you will see Mandalorian and Grogu.
I'm ready. Yay.
So that's interesting. They also they have talked about the Cars ride that's being built for in Magic
Mhm.
Kingdom. They had like they've been doing tests over the Imagineers have a ride vehicle that looks somewhat like a dune buggy. They went out to Arizona and they started testing for that, and it was a dune buggy with like a ton of sensors on
Mhm.
it. And so they're trying to build a unique, a first of its kind ride vehicle that no one's ever seen before, because they want to give it an authentic feel, like you're actually in Radiator Spring,
Mhm.
right? You're running around with Lightning McQueen, and so that's
That's cool.
interesting. There you can see like a TikTok video of it on the Disney Parks TikTok, and so that's something that's interesting to look forward to. Into that, we also have the Monsters Inc. ride, which is coming to Hollywood
Mhm.
Studios, kicking out the Muppets.
Yeah.
Peace out of here, Mupp.
Sorry.
Um, it's going to be the first ever vertical lift roller coaster.
Yeah.
So it's also the first ever suspended roller coaster in all of the Disney parks, but it's going to have a vertical lift similar to, it looked like to me like what you do in Soarin', right? Because Soarin' kind of lifts you
Yeah.
up straight, but then you're just kind of moving. But this is actually going to lift you up and then take you out.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you're going to be suspended while that's happening. Are you interested in that? While I take a sip of water.
Am I interested in what? Sorry.
The Monsters Inc.
I'm really interested in it. Now, remind me, are these it's you said it's 2 people that get on this, unit that brings you out vertically?
No, it looks like to me it looks kind of similar to, I don't know if it was, now that you say that, it it looked like a looked more like Soren, like you were kind
A
of like it was a
bunch.
group of like a longer group of people, and like you all went up, and then it took you out.
Oh, I'm just always thinking about, like, the loading and time efficiency of things.
But
For
if it's
if it's too many
too,
people, then it's
yeah,
like, how do you
that's a good
go?
point. I got to go back and relook at that.
Hmm,
They showed like an animated vid.
we'll have to watch
So
that.
yeah, we'll have to watch that and get back to you on that. But that's
It's
something that
exciting.
cool.
I love it when
eh,
they, like, make these little itty bitty announcements here and there.
yeah.
It keeps our spirits up and going.
Well, one of the other things is that you're gonna, or in the next, sometime throughout this year, speaking on the Star Wars of it all, you're going to start seeing the BD1 droids, which you can see in
Yep.
California, but they're going to see them through the other parks. So Disney World,
Yay.
they're going to be in Hollywood Studios. You're going to see the BDs walking
Yeah.
around, all the BD droids. And so that's something else to look forward to throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
So they're adding things to Galaxy's Edge, because it's now to the point where it's like, all right, you did Star
Mhm.
Wars. What else are we going to do with
Yeah,
that?
I know.
I mean, it's enough. Ooh, I mean, my alarm's going off about that. We're also in the middle of the Epcot's International, there's the International Flower and
Yeah.
Garden, International Flower and
Favorite time
Garden.
of year. It's like whenever I take out my little book and I start researching more on topiaries and all the gardens. I don't even think you can like find this book anywhere anymore, but it's one of my faves.
He loves it. Oh boy. He's happy. Where I think there's going to be a talking taupe episode of the
They have
podcast coming
amazing new
soon.
topes this year. Like I'm
Yeah. So
dying.
we need to break those down. I've been watching and reading a lot of reviews on the food
Mhm. Yeah.
throughout and there's a lot to cover. I'll come up with like some sort of list of what been the best reviewed, and we found the Monsters Inc. The
The
cars
ride cars.
that
Mhm.
looks like it's like six sets of two people that
Okay.
are all on like one track, and they all get elevated at once, and then you turn and go through into the factory. And
Okay.
so that you're kind of sitting like yourself on it, like
So,
because you're supposed to be like riding on a door,
mhm.
and then it kind of goes
That's
through.
going to be so cool. I'm ready for the new tech on that. That's neat.
So that is something. So going back to Universal Studios, we were talking about the wands, right? Second generation wands. So those are no all available. They're $85 each. They're kind of expensive.
Kind of expensive.
Adds to all new interactions that you're having throughout the parks. So
Yeah.
those are now available. I haven't actually read any reviews of whether or not they work better, because that was
Okay.
always our complaint.
Mhm.
But it looks like they've added replayability to it, so that you could go to like a window and cast a spell
Yeah.
and you get one reaction, and then you could go back another time and do it again and it has a different like reaction to it. So as
Oh, okay.
opposed to it
That's
just
cool.
having the same thing over and over again,
Yeah.
it's there's something else to it.
Okay. All right.
And then some spots have like you could cast two different spells. I have to like actually get deep into the thick of it, and we'll report back.
Okay. Sounds like we're sending you to Universal.
Oh, I'm gonna be there. It's also butterbeer season
Oh.
over in Universal. It's all about Harry Potter, right? That's what we're talking about. So butterbeer season 2025. They have all new butterbeer treats throughout Universal,
Mhm.
either in Hogsmeade or at Diagon Alley.
Mhm.
From what I've like, they said most of the stuff was kind of not that great.
Yeah.
They said the one thing they liked a lot was the butterbeer potted cream.
Oh.
It tasted like butterscotch candy and was rich, decadent, and creamy. Highly recommended.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, yeah, and then the rest of it, there's a butterbeer caramel, there's a butterbeer bar,
Yeah.
there's a butterbeer ice lolly, which they said is actually pretty good.
Okay. Good to
So if
know. That's
you want to get
cool.
your butterbeer on, go head over to Universal and butterbeer it up. And I think that's all the news I got for the
All
parks.
right. Well,
So
this
that
was
was
a pretty epic episode.
uh,
I mean, if you're going in 2025, definitely listen to our reviews on the resorts and what's going on as the refurbishments. Maybe you can be as confused about Animal Kingdom as we were, but to clear it up, it's the same place, right? Kidani's the one that's down the road. But we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll talk to you next week with something new and fancy. Bye.
This has been a Family Travel Planner production.